In the previous episode, I visited many of the Vavau Group of islands in the middle of Tonga, and here I sail to and enjoy the northern Vavau Group.
It's Thursday the 14th September, and here comes the sun over the Vavau Group. There are 13 different islands that I can see just right now at dawn. Just spent the night sailing over from Naana Island, the Ha'apai, the most northerly one. That was a very, very bumpy, rough night. And we did it with just the jib. Didn't bother with the main because the beam reached the whole way and the Windpilot struggles to keep the boat on track when the main's up as well. Alright, we should be here for a week or so.
The Vavau Group is a well-known and frequented cruising ground, and I visited 8 different anchorages, not all of which have simple names. Indeed, they are best known by their numbers on an old moorings charter company map. But first I had to check in at the main town of Naiafu in the north, passing this impressive limestone cliff on the way. And here is the mooring field looking south with about 50 boats, and then north with another appalling large rough concrete quarantine dock at the distant right-hand side.
That's the amazing a cappella singing this big Catholic church is famous for in South Pacific. It's quite a major church, and having a funeral. I'll just show you right in the middle. You can't really see a huge mound of mats on top of the coffin. It's a big compound here, with the bay at Naiafu behind me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that little bit of singing.
I enjoyed Naiafu with a good chandlery and a large produce market, and these large old frangipani trees, one of them covered with bougainvillea. But the mooring field, in addition to all sorts of fancy and sometimes famous boats like Be Free of Sailing with Thomas YouTube fame, also has its share of zombie boats, some appropriately named like Comfortably Numb and Lobotomized. I added the last part of that name, with this being the eventual fate of some of them.
It's Saturday, 16th of September. Don't think I took much video over in Naiafu. Maybe I'll take some more when I get back there later. But this is the Vavau Group of Tonga. I'm in a place strangely called Port Morel. No port of any kind, but apparently this is where the first European captain set his anchor down. A gorgeous little bay. Without falling in, let's take a few more pictures. There's 5 other boats. I'll show you 4 of them here. And a nice quiet spot for the night.
Here's my iSailor chart and the view from the Navily satellite app, and finally the Google Earth satellite view.
Still Saturday the 16th, and I've moved around to an anchorage by an island called Uita, something like that. The wind went northeast, so we're a bit sketchy situation here with the coral right next to us. There's a little family stead here. Another one there, and there's a sign of what can go wrong if your anchoring doesn't work. So I dove on the anchor. It's in 25 feet, we're in 20, and it is pretty much buried in deep sand, so I'm pretty happy. And I've got 100 feet out. Chain, there's a massive Danish boat with 9 guests and a skipper.
Again, here's my iSailor chart and the satellite view of this sketchy anchorage. The Danes had booked a Tongan feast onshore for that night, but one of them was not feeling well, so lucky me got invited to be their 10th. This was to be the start of a great relationship with this amazing boat called Valodia, owned by Casper and Sophie, and the feast was quite something, with innumerable dishes and a pig roast under a humongous banyan tree, after which this 4-generation family entertained us with music and song by the parents and dancing by their children.
Yay! Sunday the 17th of September, and I'm still at what they call number 16. This is Vavau A2 Island, and there's this amazing family here. Their house is underneath these trees over here. And then over here, under this huge, brilliant green banyan tree with the aground sailboat knocked over there, washed over there by the tsunami in January 2021, is where we had the Tongan feast last night. Absolutely wonderful evening. Really, really enjoyed it. So glad I came. It's the 17th, Sunday still, and we just came from way back there somewhere in those islands. Beautiful blue water. The Danes are still anchoring here. This island's called Muunu. It has a very fancy resort with apparently a very nice kitchen. I don't think I'll indulge tonight. It's a quintessential South Pacific island. And shallow turquoise blue water here. I'll go around quickly because of the wind noise. All the way back, we're anchored in about 15 feet of clear sand. Got a catamaran behind us in much deeper water. Yet another island behind us. Islands everywhere.
Casper was the only kite surfer on Valodia, and so was delighted to have someone to kite with. They had been cruising the Vavau Group for several months already and knew the owner of this boutique resort, Kirsty, who is also a kiter. So the three of us had a great day kiting here, primarily in the shallow turquoise water south of the island, but also through a gap in the reef into deeper water, and Casper even kited around the island. In the afternoon, at low tide, I spent several hours giving some of their guests their first kite flying and body dragging lessons. We felt this anchorage to be too exposed for the night, especially at high tide, so moved to a sheltered anchorage from which they invited me on a snorkeling excursion to a spot called the Japanese Garden. We then separated as I wanted to go as far east as possible to an island called Canoe, which I routinely mispronounce as Kantuku in the following clips, which involved tricky navigation through shallow areas that Casper was not willing to risk with their 9-foot draft to my 5-foot draft. My Predictwind tracker only shows every hour, so the details of negotiating the shallow reefy areas are lost. The canoe to anchorage was idyllic and sheltered behind an island.
Well, it's Tuesday, 19th of September. I'm anchored at an island called Kantuku. There's another boat here, a Swedish boat. And it's an absolutely gorgeous spot. It was a humongous 3-hour motor against wind and waves to get here. Goodness me, what a struggle. 2,500 RPM doing 1 to 2 knots a lot of the time. And it's still windy like crazy. Gusting across this island here. I'll quickly go through the wind zone. And there's another island behind here. There are huge waves crashing against these islands. I'm going to go for a walk and explore. Now this is the eastern side of Kantuku, facing way all the way out to French Polynesia. Big swells coming in, huge waves crashing on the rocks. It's quite spectacular. This is one of several coves here that have huge waves crashing into them. Not quite as much of a splash as on the last one. I'll step back, see if the wind noise will decrease. Here's a good one. And yeah, what a spectacular island. Kantuku, the eastern edge of Tonga. These waves are all the way from French Polynesia. I just can't get enough of this place. There's the eastern fringing reef that protects this entire Vavau Group of islands from the ocean. It's all the way down the side there. And still massive waves crashing into the cliffs here. I just saw one go right over that cliff there where I was just standing and got sprayed. I have to come back at high tide. This is low tide tomorrow morning, and the sun will be lighting up these cliffs very nicely. Well, it's Wednesday the 20th September and the next morning, and I'm trying to work my way through to the more southerly end of this island. It's this forest, absolute forest of pandanus. I had no idea they grew so high, and there's not so many here, but trees that I would have called Australian pines, but apparently are called, oh, there's some little swifts there, apparently are called ironwoods. You see all their needles here on the ground amongst the pandanus leaves, and the path is anything but obvious, so I'm just working my way through here. It's nice and open here now, and hopefully get to the southern end where there's a gap to a slightly separated rock. I'm not sure this is it, but it could be. Oops. Yep. Woo! All right. That's more like it. Wow. Ah, no, this is not the gap. The gap is up over there. But this is pretty good all the same. Make sure we don't fall off here. There's a layer all the way around. You can see it just being covered of harder limestone. And it's what's keeping this island alive. The rest of it just above is a little bit softer, and it's being eroded away pretty fast. We're about mid-tide right now. High tide has come all the way in here. Ay, what a beautiful place. Goodness me. And all the way out, there's the separate piece over there. I'll see if I can hike over there. And then the vast, vast fringing reef and the inner lagoons and all the other islands further down. We had lots of sun this morning, now it's cloudy, but I see blue sky, so hopefully we'll get some sun. I couldn't find a way through. Oh, maybe it's right on the edge up there. Anyway, to the gap here. Here's a nice wave. Let's see what this one does. Wow. Man, this is not a place you'd want to be caught. Woo. Shredded in seconds. Oh man, what a place. That is fantastic. Sun's come out just a little bit for us. All these birds circling up here are black noddies. There was a Tahiti petrel among them, but it's gone. Alright, well, I'm headed back west. Sun is back. Well, sort of. So one more quick video clip before I head back to the boat, back towards the Oh, here's a good wave. Let's see if we can get some spray out of this one. Sun comes out just in time, and boom! Woo! Yeah, the contrast between the two sides of this island are so radical. Here we are anchored in this lovely, peaceful little cove here. Unbelievably beautiful waters. And on the other side it's absolutely raging. Amazing. Well, the wind noise is going to be a bit much, but we're leaving Canoe Island. And there's a squall coming through. As we do so, the sea is absolutely gorgeous. See the rain on the horizon there. We have just the staysail up, and we are doing 3 knots, following our track out of here.
The return trip was hectic, with winds over 30 knots in several squalls, with low visibility, so I followed my track on iSailor to avoid the shallows and reefs. We saw 7 knots under staysail alone. I returned to a different sheltered anchorage where I had the good fortune to meet 2 other boats. On the left is a solo German named Tom on a Lagoon 40 catamaran, and on the right are Jonas and Leonie on Jollity. And here is Tom's view of us. Thanks for the photo, Tom.
It's 21st, Thursday, and I'm joining 2 other boats. Jollity here is a racing boat out of Germany, and they look it, they're going like crazy here with their genoa out, much faster than us. We've got a motor on and just staysail. And then behind us is Tom on his 40-foot lagoon that he took around Patagonia, and he slowed down just not to embarrass us too much. But we are headed to Unu Island to go kitesurfing.
The forecast for these days was for strong trade winds, so we all retreated to the sanctuary of the mooring field at Naiafu, where there were over 70 boats for their week-long Blue Water Sailing Festival. And in addition to Velodia, there were several famous boats. Nareda is Jean Socrates' boat, on which she circumnavigated 4 times east about, around the 4 major southern capes, establishing records as the oldest woman and then the oldest person to do so, and now is slowly sailing west about, like the rest of us, to visit the places she sailed past before. She is 81 now, and a remarkable sailor who I was fortunate to meet in Simonstown years ago, and now got to know a bit more. We used my dinghy to go to dinner ashore, and along the way met this dismasted boat, Dance Me, with Hans and Lisbeth aboard, and invited them along for dinner at the Kraken restaurant along with the Danes. Additional famous boats were YouTubers Parlay Revival with Colin, Jamie, and Patreons aboard, and Alex's boat Blue Barrel, a boat that was dismasted 1,000 miles out of the Galapagos last year, now refitted. John and I and many other cruisers attended the packed Sunday morning service at the big Catholic church for the a cappella singing by their choir, and this time I felt more comfortable filming. Mothers with children on the sides. Parking lot is completely full. And around the side, a whole lot more mothers with their babies outside. There's the entrance to the bay, just behind these palm trees here, straight through there. It's a very protected bay, absolutely wonderful place for a little town and a harbour. And here's some of the other kids outside. There's pretty little girls in their little dresses here. Quite something. Look at this. And there's the mooring field with all the boats. Not sure we can see Sea Change. Maybe. Yes, from the telephone pole to the right, way the hell far in the back. And all too soon, it was time for us to start heading back west to Fiji. So I invited the Danes over to Sea Change after dinner for a very pleasant visit and chat in the cockpit. Thanks so much, Casper, Sophie, and the rest of the crew for making me so welcome. Casper wisely waited an extra day before leaving, but I headed out from Nayafu westwards, thinking I would spend the night in a lovely anchorage called Hunga Lagoon on the western edge of the Vavau Group.
This is the entrance to Hunga Lagoon, and it just looks way too rough and way too scary for me. I see a catamaran must have made it through. I have no idea how they could do that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to risk going through there. What a shame. Oh, it's Monday the 25th of September, and I think I'm now committed to taking off and sailing back to Fiji.
It was just as well I did not try this. It was not the correct entrance, which is a kilometer further along. I would have lost Sea Change if I had tried to go in here. In the next episode, I sail back to Fiji and explore places I did not visit last year.